Take your next step towards success and further your education with Africa University. Africa University, investing in Africa's future.
Good day. My name is Kundai Ngoi. I and my colleagues are students that practice in international relations, and we are going to discuss on a topic related to authoritarianism in Africa. On my right, we have Sano, Munyarazi, Shania, Shingirai, Abigail. On my left, we have Ezekiel, Munyarazi again, Wimbai, Jocelyn, and Lewis. And we shall conduct a discussion on the nature, the effects, and possible solutions on issues related to authoritarianism. First of all, we shall start by discussing what is authoritarianism.
Well, personally, I think that authoritarianism is a management style whereby autocracy is invested in one person and it makes use of intimidation, threats, manipulation.
Jocelyn?
Okay. Personally, I think that authoritarianism is a leadership style whereby the leader has absolute power and is the one who is in charge of appointing all the ministers and others, and he has the absolute power in the country. Thank you.
Okay. Next on.
Trying to have authoritarianism is where the government demands and the people must obey. The people don't have a space to contribute something.
Yes, would you like to contribute?
Yeah, I personally to say, as for what I researched, and what I researched is so that authoritarianism is like when a leader is concerned for his wishes and not for others, for others. So I want to ask those who first gave the definitions they gave, like, do you mean authoritarianism is next to dictatorship? That's a question I have for you. Like I didn't get it right.
For my point, for what I did, I think that is not because authoritarianism, we can find that authoritarianism support a little bit in terms of institutions and institutions, and but the dictatorship is worse than the authoritarianism because there's no institution, there's no participation. It's only a group of individuals that demand.
But how come the writers say there's lack of consent for the wishes or opinion of others? Just like a tyrannical rule. It's more of dictatorship.
Can I take over? I think you're okay. Well, it's a well said and well structured question. So I think authoritarianism and dictatorship, they are all intertwined.
Oh, they're the same thing. That's
Yeah,
what you
they
said.
are the same thing. That is my sentiments. Yes.
But another writer once said it's between democracy and dictatorship again. What do you think?
Between what?
It's between democracy and dictatorship.
I think I'd like to take that one.
Yeah, you can give it.
I believe that the right was probably referencing to a certain type of authoritarian regime that is known as competitive authoritative regimes, whereby a dictatorship form of government exists, but the government is more concerned about keeping up with appearances to ensure that they don't receive any external backlashes from international observers. I can give an example of a country that has been argued to be such a competitive authoritative regime. We can look at the state of Rwanda or even the state of Zimbabwe itself, arguably. Some people say that these countries are actually considered authoritarian since that it's the same ruling party that has ruled these countries for multiple decades. And that there are even times whereby some journalists or even members of opposition parties who speak against the ruling government are actually prosecuted. Yeah, we can even give one example of a prominent member of parliament of Zimbabwe. What's his name? Job Sakawa, right?
Job Sakawa.
Yeah, yes. Some people even say that crimes that he has conducted allegedly are actually false accusations made by the government to prosecute him and also to try to discourage any other political opposition members to try to voice their opinion against the government, allegedly. And it's also gotten to the point whereby even when some elections are conducted, some allegedly state that these elections have actually been rigged or falsified to maintain rule of the current ruling party, to legitimize it in the eyes of the public and also in the eyes of international observers.
Yeah.
So that is why some people may actually think that authoritarianism, especially this type of authoritarianism, lies between dictatorship and democracy.
So I think maybe in conclusion what you are saying, when say authoritarian regime government brings dictatorship, that's what?
They say that it's a maxed form of dictatorship.
Not like it brings dictatorship, but it lies in between. Like the rulers will be hiding, like they don't want to show the tyrannical rule, the democratic rule, they'll be in between, so as to satisfy the needs of the people. So let's say they become democratic. The people will say, yeah, they're the good leaders. Let's say they give some ideas of the dictatorship rule, and the people will say, this type of rule is bad. They will come back and say, but we did this in a dictatorial manner, you see. So they'll be hiding in between, that's what I see. But I can say it's a way to. It's not a way to. But it's just the snilson. That's what I say. Yeah, it's just there. It stays in its own. It doesn't lead to anywhere. That's what I think.
So colleagues, there's another question that I'd like to throw at you. How do we measure the effectiveness of authoritarian regimes in Africa? Do we believe that they are effective in achieving political stability and also providing economic growth? Or do you believe that they actually increase political instability, especially in relation to issues of race or even ethnic politics and identity crisis happening in Africa? And also regarding to issues of maybe some maybe brand other states as being neo-patriotic or plutocracy and whatnot. Jocelyn?
Well, personally, I think that it depends with the leader. For example, in Rwanda, Paul Kagame, the issues of ethnicity, like looking back with the genocide that happened in Rwanda in 1994, whereby the Hutus, they were killing the Hutus. But then there was like racial discrimination, something like the Tutsis, they detest the Hutus. So, but as time went on, when Kagame came to power, he introduced the issue that when getting your national IDs, you don't have to indicate that you are a Tutsi or a Hutu. Both of you are just Rwandans. No, like saying you are a Tutsi. But I think that's a good development as a leader. So basically, I think it depends with the vision or the what the leader wants for his country. As for me, I think that Kagame has a good rule for his country, but it depends. It also differs with other presidents. Some are different, like they have different visions. And looking at the economy of the country, one has been like characterized as one of the best in terms of the, what do you call this? It's a smart and clean city. Like for example, in Rwanda, if you are caught, like what most men do here in Zimbabwe, other countries, if you are caught urinating on a tree or in somewhere, they will arrest you. They don't tolerate bad misconduct. Or if you throw rubbish in the road, so they will just arrest you. You are also not allowed to go to town with slippers. Kagame also tried to, he tried to to say that for the benefit of all the citizens, that no citizen of his country will be sleeping on a mat. Like he provided mattresses for all the people, which is a good. So I think it differs with visions and as per what the leader aspires to achieve.
But I have a question for you, Ms. Josephine.
Okay.
When did you last have some civil wars in Rwanda?
Civil wars.
Yeah.
Okay. As for civil wars, it's been long. Considering the 1994 genocide, which was so tragic. After that, no civil wars. But then there are some killings. Obviously, Kagame kills.
Those are civil.
Okay. No, that's not a civil war. It's not a civil war. Okay.
What's that? That's political repression.
Okay. That's not a civil war. But then
Let me understand
you want to understand what exactly?
What's that?
What?
What is trying to
The
say
type of
is that-
measuring you be doing
Measuring.
so civil war, like, yeah. But what's that?
Yes.
How do you take that? Yeah. Thank you.
What she's trying to explain is that these are the type of kings that you're speaking of, allegedly. These are what would be called political assassinations under the cause of political repression. Trying to ensure that he silences any oppositions before they threaten.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you know what? If they're exposed to the public, we now know that's what he does.
Okay, sorry.
So now, if we know that that's what he does, it's not determination. It's not
But is it a proven fact that he kills? Where the
So
proof
the
that he kills in the executive
Mr.
opposition?
Kunde knows that he kills.
Okay, wait, let me.
He's a legend. Mr. Kunde knows that he
Munya,
kills.
wait.
Josephine knows that he kills.
Munya, wait.
It's exposed.
We have to have facts when it comes to such issues, because I cannot come and just say that the president Paul Kagame executes oppositions. Are there facts? Are there evidences?
Yeah,
Can you provide them?
Like what they say, they have to provide.
Yeah, they have
They
to
have to
provide.
Someone would like to.
yeah, there's the fact that Kagame is a murderer.
Yeah.
Okay. And
According to?
yes, there is a law that seeks to suggest that when you are introducing your own political party in line of the government, you must value that your party have no any power beyond the sitting government. Whereby we see this a late musician singer Kizito Mihigo.
Yeah.
He was being assassinated. Later on, after being in prison, a same government of Kagame announced that Kizito has committed suicide, but it wasn't in line for what was happening there. The main issue was like he was refused to be controlled by the government, because all those Rwandese parties, political parties, which are oppositions, they are there just to be like children to a Kagame. So no one doesn't go far on the limits of the father who is Kagame. So I can say there is a lot of allegations about Kagame's murder.
I think we also have to look at the opposition parties in Rwanda, right? We were focusing on, like, does Paul Kagame kills, right? The evidence can also be derived on, like, most of the political parties in Rwanda, the opposition parties, they flee to exile, right? And that is a complete evidence that they are fleeing these killings. Although we might not have like evidence written somewhere or a recorded video where he's killing, but we know that these opposition parties, they are fleeing because he is a killer. So this tells that there is something behind his ruling. Yeah, which is not strange.
Okay, let me. I'm going banana with Jocelyn, since I can use this utilitarianism theory that is determines right from wrong by focusing on outcomes. So whether Kagame is killing or not, but we need to focus on the outcomes. Since Rwanda is doing good currently, so we can say authoritarian is best. See, in that case, I can also give an example of DRC. You see, like DRC is, has a lot of ethnic groups. So with democracy, I think with such country, democracy won't work, because we are facing some fights between ethnical groups. So I think if DRC can find someone like Kagame, the country will be
The
like
strongman syndrome. So you mean like we need someone like Kagame?
Yeah, someone strong, and he can come up with a good institution. You see, like strong institution.
But how come? When you are an authoritarian ruler, you'll be doing things for the people, right? But how come you kill the people you're doing things for?
As long as if someone is opposing the progress, yeah, you have to take him out.
What leads to someone opposing?
Well, issues of effectiveness of authoritarianism. Of course, there are some countries which have succeeded under such leadership style, like that of Rwanda, that is people today. But it doesn't mean that all authoritarian regimes in Africa are actually bringing economic growth and also stability within Africa. You can even look at the case of Equatorial Guinea, whereby currently the longest reigning president, Basoko, has actually been in power even longer than Robert Mugabe himself. He came into power in 1979. But yet you can see that he had actually captured the state in such a way that he has actually made it his own property, to the point whereby he made his own son, who does not have any proper administrative, bureaucratic, or even political qualifications, as his vice president, succeeding. Sort of like a neo-monarchic state. And of course, they've also engaged in what we call neo-nationalism, whereby they can just grant provinces or even state access to certain individuals who happen to be in line with them. And all of them have actually conducted in corrupt measures and through embezzlement have actually looted the state, thereby resulting in decrease of standards of living in the state, while also simultaneously maintaining increased political repression within that state.
Question.
Yes.
You mentioned monarchy state.
Neo-monarchic.
Yeah, I want to understand what's the relationship between monarchy and authoritarianism.
Well, neo-monarchic state is actually a type of country whereby officially they do not classify themselves as a monarchy, but many of the features that the state maintains or the government maintains actually resemble monarchy, like what I stated. Basako is actually the current president of Equatorial Guinea, and he has actually made his son vice president.
Oh, so it's
That's the
more
equivalent
like
of actually
hereditary.
making, that's the equivalent of a king selecting his son as his heir and succeeding in his eventual passing. Okay.
Just to add on, I feel like authoritarianism is not the only, type of leadership style that works, because I feel like for some African countries, we can look at Botswana, we can look at Mauritius. They have really low scores on the Human Development Index. They're really doing well, and yet they're democratic. So I feel like, so why is it that other states, Botswana, Mauritius, Seychelles,
Yes.
they're doing quite well in terms of development. So why isn't it that other African countries can do the same by not being authoritarian and following democracy? If other countries such as Botswana, Mauritius are doing it, why can't other African countries do the same?
There is a question that I'd like to present to you, colleagues. Do you think that authoritarian regimes throughout Africa can be reduced in quantities? And if so, how can we do that? Yes.
Okay. I think authoritarian regimes in Africa may be very difficult to remove, because if we look at most of the authoritarian regimes are formed from, what do you call them, war veterans or parties that liberated the country, and they have massive influence on the military aspect of the country, and most of the opposition either have little or no military representation. As a result, it may be very difficult for opposition parties to implement their democracies, and the lack of access to the military forces. Because if in a case where the opposition parties want to now rule, they will have to be sort of a civil war, other than that, the wolves, they won't give away power.
To make to differentiate is difficult because in case of Rwanda, many institutions have tried to interview because women's rights are being violated by the army because we see that in this case that people disappear, people are tortured, opposite party are arrested by the government force. So yeah, for me it is a little bit difficult to implement this system in the authority.
Louis?
Okay, the case of Cameroon. Cameroon attained her independence in 1962. So before that, they were separated into two. We have the northwest and the southwest regions, whereby they were colonized by the British. So fast forward into 2023, even late last year, there was a conflict that happened around those regions that I've just mentioned. Because Cameroon as a whole, it was colonized by the France. So these people are being attacked because of the virtue they affiliate themselves into the Anglophone region. So my point is, the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon. So when you take a look at Paul Biya, he has been in power since 1982, if I'm not wrong. I stand to be corrected. But up until today, people go to vote. It is just for ceremonial purposes. Why? Because this man, he's violating human rights, number one. Number two, he's oppressing the opposition in the country. So my personal sentiments are, in Africa, or rather in these countries that we have the authoritarian regime, it is really hard to change such structures because of factors like my brother has said. These were war veterans who fought for independence in their country. And so they say, if you want to come into power, then you have to struggle like myself, I did struggle for the country. So those are my sentiments.
What we need here is African solutions to African problems.
Yeah, true.
And I feel like with Africa, leadership was hijacked, right? We wanted the power so bad, but at the end of the day, we don't know how to control that power now, and that's what we need to solve. And I feel like meritocracy really comes in hand because I mean, with the East Asian tigers, we've got Taiwan, Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can do it using meritocracy, why can't we? It's not just about, filling our pockets, exactly. So what we need is to find African solutions to African problems.
You know why meritocracy, I tend to take a different stance on it, why it cannot work in Africa. Because if you remember the bourgeois, those guys who own the means of production, you see, the political arena and the economy, they are intertwined. So how does the West influence our political scene in Africa?
Come again?
So I'm saying the political scene and the economy of a country, they are intertwined. So in order for us to have like this meritocracy that you're saying, and the one that I'm saying it cannot work in Africa, is because first of all, we need to work on ourselves. We need to work on our economy. Number one, we need to work on the way we produce our products and so on and so forth. Because if you are happy as a person, for example, you feed your family or your clan as a whole, if you can put it that way, then you become happy. And then what leads next? You become with a sober mind to voting someone who can stand for the country. So I believe for Africa, for us Africans, we need to really focus on our economy, because the West now they take advantage of the weakness that we have, and they really instigate such things as coups, and even they put their leaders there and so on and so forth. I don't know, but I stand to be corrected by
honestly, I feel like I beg to differ with you Louise, again. Because at the end of the day, I mean, work ethic really is important. We can't be voting for thieves. How long will we keep on voting for people who are corrupt? You know, people who use government properties or funds for their own personal gain. So at the end of the day, meritocracy, I feel like it's very important. We can't just be putting Mawindi or shika taxi drivers in power. We need that strong work ethic from these leaders.
But I think I need also to add something there what you are explaining on the issues of Malawi government.
Malawi.
Yes. What can be the solution for us to come up with a tangible approval for all these kind of proceedings that we're trying to make? I think the problem is we Africans, we do believe in other people's legacy outside. So the more we are trying to invoke them to intervene in our politics internally, that's the problem. For example, he's saying that Munya was trying to say, why can't we just call international law of justice to help us? You see, that's the problem. Because the Africa problem must be solved by Africans. And what we need first is to have a leader who know what to do on the ground, who have got a clear understanding what leadership is meant for. For example, let's talk about Lazarus. We just go and vote for him simply because once upon a time he was a pastor. So we do believe that he's going to do but what Malawian people miss is the one who used to steal the church is more dangerous than the one who used to steal the public. Now the country is going to change. Nothing doesn't go well as the way how we are expecting to see on the ground. So the thing is, you cannot say we need to build our Africans block by block. Later on, you are not believing in what meant you to be. So that's the problem. So the solution of all this authoritarian regime government that we have, we Africans, it's not the problems of what we fought for. It's the mind of we Africans. We are centered to praise our leaderships. Once they have now come to power, we don't need them to see like human beings. We're becoming to praise them. So the more we praise, the more they are using now to sweet talks whatsoever, sugars like that. They are now seeing themselves as gods. So it's a problem. So we cannot just go to starting divide and trying to dehumanize their minds they have used it for. It's very different. So what we must do is let's think as an African. African mind must be solved by Africans.
And I also think that if authoritarian is giving it a good outcome, I think we better go for it. Just like Libya, in the case of Muammar Gaddafi, during him, like things were just flowing, things were fine, the economy was good, and you could see that the men, right? They were actually eager to marry because they could know that there was something for them, like the new I don't know, couples, right? There was something that they were given, like a token. Yes, sexual marriage. So it was actually a good, state which was providing like the best for the majority. So I think if authoritarian is producing the best for the majority, it's actually something good to go for. There's nothing wrong because
it's not good.
No, I'm not saying bribe. I'm saying if the outcome is good. I'm saying if the outcome is good.
So can you say a token of that you have married can make your life better?
No, that's not what I mean. But of course, appreciate.
That's what we want to see. Because actions speak louder than
Nangagwa is sang a bow that say then you say the effort I appreciate. So even
do you know
the thing that everybody will be?
Of course. Do you know that during the
what about if you don't marry, you're not
alright, if you don't marry or during the time of Muammar Gaddafi, right, in Libya. You know that if they, during mining, right, like they mine, I don't know the minerals that are there in Libya. Yes. After they do their sales and stuff like that, do you know that everyone had a share for that? Like the profit that they make, everyone was given a share. Like if you have an account in Libya, you were going to receive a share of that profit.
And everybody did.
Everyone, yes. And only if you have an account in Libya, you were going to receive
Everyone received.
Everyone in the country.
Or it was written that everyone received.
I know. It was
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know.
I
It written that everyone received.
it was
Let me
practical.
the economic structure of Libya. Since after nationalizing the oil wells in the government, Gaddafi had actually made a public policy that would ensure that every single Libyan citizen would actually benefit.
It was achieved.
Yes, I mean, during Gaddafi's reign, this country actually had one of the highest GDP and standards of living in Africa. And mind you, these are actually statistics which were actually provided by the World Bank. And as you all know, the World Bank are more Western aligned. Meaning that they have actually more to gain to tarnish Gaddafi's image. But in this regard, even they knew that they could not disregard his actually economic policies that he'd actually established. And this has actually been proven. But now looking after the fall of Gaddafi's regime, multiple civil wars have occurred. The standards of living has decreased to the point whereby even the people who were actually fighting against the Gaddafi regime in 2011 are actually regretting the bloodshed that they produced in their own land, in the infrastructure that they destroyed. Like, let me tell you the importance of providing national marriage to newlywed couples. Starting a family ain't easy. Libya is a Muslim country. That means they're very conservative and they're very family oriented. They need to make sure that there needs to be a stable family home in order for there to be a stable country, to make sure that people are happy. So by ensuring that they actually provide grants to newlywed couples, this will actually make it sure that they will actually have a more stable footing to actually start a family. And also would I hope to actually give them enough funds to invest in other business projects that they will occur, thereby resulting in increased economic stability. It wasn't just a mere bribery. Here's the genius of it. It was actually a measure of trying to increase the economic output of each individual family home, thereby resulting in collective economic growth, which would also result in increased GDP or gross domestic product per capita in the country, thereby promoting increased standards of living within that country. But mind you, this was actually done under an authoritative regime. Let us not forget that Gaddafi was not voted into office. He came into power through a military coup. But under his reign, Libya was actually far much better. Today, right now, post-Gaddafi's regime, Libya is classified as a democracy. But yet there's still political instability going within the country. There's ethnic violence happening within the country right now. Why? Because they've actually tried to implement a democratic institution which was not in line with the Muslim, Northern African, Arab heritage. Just like what someone has stated. In order for us, if we are going to bring an end to authoritarian regime in a more productive fashion, we must not just copy and paste. What may have worked in America will not work in Zimbabwe, will not work in Malawi, will not work in DRC. We need to create measures which are actually homegrown solutions, which take account of the special circumstances that us Africans take. Maybe then we'll be able to think of a way to bring more democratic institutions within the country, which is in line with our African heritage and identity. Only then will we be able to successfully bring an end to authoritarian regime within the country. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been our presentation on effects and also measures of how we can try to reduce authoritarianism in Africa. Please leave a like and the subscribe button. And also, don't forget to comment.